EK Ignite. You blink, I burn. Knife from the void. Now watch it boom. Ow! Spin the steel, I ignite the air. Knives in orbit, death everywhere. Void spawn creeping, golems rise. Altars cursed, I don't think twice. Winds with fire, quit like sand. Every mob draws from the flame within. Soul goes dark, I light it red. Quit storm hits and the screen goes dead. You dodge the front, I come from behind. You stack resist, I melt your mind. Ignite 'em, knives like rain. Boom, you blink, I move. Firestorm deep in flame. I don't blink when I decimate. I am the altar, seal your fate. Boom, 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 now burn, no pain. Stacking dots like ritual right. Voidling screech in the cold moonlight. Six-link soul with chaos twist. Click that curse, nihilist cast. Burn the pack, bend the map. Click that mod, boom the trap. Boss got boss, I stack the nap. Wins don't die, she laughs right back. Massacre ignite. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome to Ash! Secondary ignite.
Hello everyone and welcome to my EK Ignite Elementalist 3.26. If this is going to be a very long video, and so if you just want to get to the guide, then you can just refer to the timestamps and you can go to whichever section that you would like to refer to. Because in the beginning there are some disclaimers and why I decided to make an EK Ignite video, the pros and cons of an EK Ignite video, of an EK Ignite build. And so if you want to skip all that and just get to the guide, just refer to the timestamps. So this, even though I said that it's a guide, I don't think that it satisfies all the requirements for it to be a guide. But the reason why I called it a guide is because nobody in 3.26 created an EK Ignite Elementalist guide with the updates that came in 3.25. Traditionally, EK Ignite stacks auras so that you have adequate damage and defense, so that when you run your maps, you are able to click on majority of the Eater altars, and you're able to not die, basically, in your maps. But with the nerfs of things like determination and grace and blessing support, for those of you who have played POE for a few leagues, will know that blessings have completely changed from just a support where you can trigger an aura into a gem where you have to link it to a minion and the minion will die. So it's a nerf. And so because of these changes, you are not able to stack aura as much and you are not as tanky. Or you can be tanky, but you won't deal as much damage. And so when I was playing Secrets of the Atlas 3.26, I only was able to play a week after it launched due to my in real life things to do. And I was fully expecting somebody to come up with an EK Ignite, a new version, a 3.26 updated version of EK Ignite. So that it overcomes all these all these nerfs from the traditional way of building an EK Ignite, but I was not able to see a single one. And normally, when you league start EK, you can't league start EK Ignite. You would normally go Wave of Conviction, you get an Obliteration wand, and you will, as you have the budget to get the either an explosion bow or a this flask, whichever way you're able to get the explosion, you will transition into an EK Ignite build. So it's not a league start. And by the time I got to that point where I was able to afford a traditional EK Ignite build, I still didn't see anybody make an EK Ignite build for 3.26. That is when I had to make a decision on whether I continue this quest to make an EK Ignite and try to figure out a way to make it work, or I go make another build. And I decided to make an EK Ignite build the traditional way, which was very squishy. You die all the time, and by the time you map, right now the meta is to use risk scarabs. By the time you put in 1 or 2 risk scarabs, you die. You die all the time. And so, and we're not even talking about clicking on Eater altars. When you look at Eater altars, you need to be super careful. And so, the whole league for me, for this 3.26 has been about this one build, EK Ignite. How can I make EK Ignite feel good? And before I go into why continue this, I want to shout out to 2 people. Number one is Sayuro Void, who commented on my first EK Ignite video, and even though those were comments which I already knew, he or she reminded me, and I was very grateful for that. And it just went to show how when somebody gives you feedback, when you have a third party view of your build, you can just improve it so much more. And so really, because I'm not a build maker, I didn't invent EK Ignite. So many people have played this and have made videos about it. People who know about POE more than I do. But my goal really is to start off that conversation about EK Ignite, because it's a great build. It's a fun build, and if more people played it and people who are better than me at POE building or theory crafting starts to play this build, maybe they can come up with a better way for me to get more damage, or get more defense. So I feel like at the moment I've seen Ninja, I've seen on YouTube. I dare say that for me, this is the best feeling EK Ignite at the moment. I've tried various versions. The bow quiver, which is the classic version. This is for me. This feels the best because I don't die as much, and I can run juicier maps like 2 risk scarabs, 1 with scarabs, scarab, and some people don't mind dying because you're in softcore, but for me it's not fun. Personally, if I keep dying in every map I open, it's not fun, and so it's very important for me personally for it to be a tanky build. Of course, there's no point in you being tanky if you don't have the damage, and so you need to be able to achieve a certain amount of damage while being tanky. And so on this quest, I did make my first video, and Sayuro Void in the comments suggested some things which drastically improved the build. And there's another guy in Ninja, I can't find him anymore, but his name is Skibbity Pop, I think. So he is where I saw the Scepter Shield version, but he also had some things about his build which I changed so that it feels as good as possible. And so that's why I've decided to make this video, this guide. And basically, even though I say it's a guide, it's me sharing my logic and my knowledge on how I built this version of EK Ignite. So The main thing about this EK Ignite is that there are two main things, which is the shield and scepter. Normally you will use a bow and a quiver, but I decided to use a shield because we want to make the build feel as tanky as possible, and so I decided to use a shield. And you get to shield charge, so there's this movement skill that you can just spam around the map. And when you're mapping, movement is very important to make your mapping experience as smooth as possible. The second change is the body armor. This is a new body armor in 3.26, and traditionally you will use either a Skin of the Lord with Magebane or Eldritch Battery. I personally would always use Magebane to suppress Cat, but you can also use a Skin of the Lord if you have a double implicit +1 level soccer gems +2 proj. But we have this new body armor, Servant of Decay, which I will go over later. But these are the two main differences. Everything else, like this is the helmet that you always use in ETH Ignite. Obviously, we're using a shield, so we use a scepter. The jewels, they're all the same, I think, compared to the old school EK Ignite. Of course, with 3.26, we've got changes to our Ascendancy of Elementalist and the new meta, which is Golems. Okay, you can see my Golems here. So these changes are the biggest differences between the EK Ignite that was traditionally made pre 3.25. I would say in 3.25 it was unplayable, in my opinion, because it's just too squishy. And but now we are able to take advantage of the armor, the shield. The shield is also relatively new, and Svalin, and the blessing support and the golems. Okay, and so those are the major differences. So I really hope that after this video, people watch it, people become critical. I strongly suggest that you are critical with my video. I really don't mind if people point out whatever mistakes I may have made or something I could have done better, because I know that I'm not the best build maker, but I have not seen anybody spend the whole league trying to optimize EK Ignite. And so this is I hope that this starts that conversation. I hope someone who's better and more knowledgeable than me will make this build better. So yeah, please put that in the comments if you have any suggestions, just like how Sayurovoy did. And please, by all means, make more videos based on that. And yeah, so let's begin. So this guide is targeted towards those newer PoE players. If you are not new to PoE, you probably don't need to watch this video. You can just take my POB, look at the POB, and understand everything. I mean, a veteran PoE player you don't need to listen to all this. You just need to take the POB and you'll know what's going on. So these explanations are for those new players. In 3.26, there are a lot of new PoE players, and I know that a lot of people enjoy that explosion gameplay. And so I just want to go over some pros and cons of EK Ignite. Okay, so EK stands for Ethereal Knives. Ethereal Knives is a skill where you shoot out projectiles in front of you in a cone shape. And this is the transfigured version, Ethereal Knives, of the Massacre, whereby your projectiles go into it's a 360 projectile, and with levels, you can see here, it actually gets more projectiles. So at my gem level is 28. My gem level is 21, but because of the modifiers, it becomes 28. But it has 18, but after more levels, it has +3 proj. No, actually, it's from the quality. Yeah, it has +3 proj. And so you've got 21 projectiles shooting out in a circular way. And what that means is when you play Wave of Conviction, for example, which is what you would league start with, if the enemy is here, here, and here, you have to shoot here and then shoot here and then shoot here. And Wave of Conviction is such that you cannot have two waves at once. If you were to shoot a wave here and halfway the wave going out, you shoot another one here, this wave gets cancelled. So that is a big. You need to aim, but with EK, you're even shooting behind yourself. So if in a map, if you got a mob here, here, and here, you'll be shooting all three at once. This is a big advantage when you map. Also because ignite. So ignite is a damage over time damage. The biggest benefit of a damage over time skill is that after you apply the ignite, you can move. So while you're moving, it's damaging the enemy. So you can dodge and you can do all these kinds of things. And movement is another layer of defense in PoE. And so you can move. And so this is another benefit of a dot build. If you watch the showcase, you can see that the clear is amazing. Like in Breach, for example, where you've got hundreds of monsters in a screen. As soon as you click your skill, it will apply ignite, and because of your, there's this fan of flames, ignites you, inflict spread to other enemies within a radius. So it will spread to all the enemies, and then it just explodes. And then when your Auras End is active, it will explode, and they all die. And so it feels great. It's a very fun build because of that. It excels in mechanics like Breach, Alva, Harvest, any mechanic that has a lot of mob density. And if you enjoyed a cast when stunned chieftain, like that's probably another one of my favorite builds because it's an explosion build, you will enjoy this build. Obviously, with the difference between this and CWS is that you need to be hit to cause an explosion, whereas in EK Ignite you are causing the explosion directly without being hit, and you have range. So the range is off. When you're mapping, you will notice that there will be gold, outside of this your radius, and it's just you will be able to kill enemies off screen. And I guess the final benefit is that damage over time skills cannot be reflected. So if you have a map mod where it has elemental reflect, your hit damage, your elemental hit damage will be reflected. So you will still get damaged, and I probably still would not run an ele reflect map. But technically you still can, you just have to be more careful, it's more deadly for you. But it's not the end. You won't kill yourself because your damage is a dot damage. It's a damage over time damage, and damage over time damage cannot be reflected. So that is a benefit. The con of the build. So the bad thing about this build is it's not a single target friendly build. I have done the Ubers with this build, but it takes you a few minutes. You're not gonna burst it down. You need to do all the mechanics, and in POE1, it's a bit of a taboo if it takes you more than 2 seconds to do a boss. And so when you're doing your maps, there are certain rare monsters or uniques which might take you some time. But there are ways to overcome that. We take convergence, we take Heart of Destruction, which gives you 30% more ele damage if you come across a unique enemy. You can also get a Searing Exarch mod, where if a unique enemy is your presence, you get more fire damage over time multiplier. And so you have ways to overcome it. But again, if you're gonna do bossing, EK Ignite is not for you. EK Ignite is a mapper, and so one of the bad things is that you cannot do single target as good as a bosser. Also, this build for the budget, because this is not a budget build, you will spend a lot of divines making this build. This is not a cheap build. You can build other builds which will probably be better at performing in the game. But I wonder whether you will still be able to get that same explosion and clear and feel as an EK Ignite. I tell you, for those of you who have never tried EK Ignite before, because if you've played PoE for a few leagues, you would have heard of EK Ignite and you would have probably played it at least once. You know, streamers, famous streamers, have also all played EK Ignite at least once. But if you haven't, try it because it really feels good. But there is a ceiling as to the content when it gets to really juiced, like Rogue Exile, farming, or Blight. You know, those Empower Blight, normal Blights, even Risk Blights. All you can do, you use your towers and all that, no problem. Okay, it's just extremely juiced content. You may not be able to do it comfortably, but having said that, very few builds will be able to do those contents. It has to be in the multi-mirror range, and it has to be a meta build. And so at that point, you know, I'm not really one for playing meta builds. I don't play builds just because everyone else is playing it. I play builds because they're fun. And I play Ignite, EK Ignite, because it's the funnest build I have ever played. And so that's why. But it is a con, you know. So if you really want to play something meta and you want to clear all content with that one character, this may not be the build for you. Also, if you come across a mob, if you come across a map, you know, let's say the modifier has a monster has additional elemental resistance, and the mob inherently has fire res and ignite resistance, you will not one shot that rare mob. It will take you some time. It's not impossible, but it will take you some time. So there are certain. It's very rare, but it does happen. Yeah, a rare mob that you might not be able to. It will take you a while to kill. There is also one other con, which is these void spawns. Do you hear those the squeaking noises? They're very annoying. You can't turn it off. You know, that is another quote unquote debuff that you need to deal with. You know, because these void spawns are they're well, you know, they give you damage and they take damage from you. So, I mean, technically that is a con. So, anyways, those are the pros and cons of this build. But otherwise, it's very fun. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And so right now, I would like to go over the Ascendancy. By the way, this is the beginning of the guide. So let's go. So I'm gonna go over the Ascendancy, and then I'm gonna go over damage, and then I'm gonna go over defense. That is how I'm gonna structure the guide. So in order to play this build, you can do it on other Ascendancies, but traditionally it's done on an Elementalist because we have this node here, Shaper of Flame. Shaper of Flame is a node where all your damage can ignite. Whether it's cold, chaos, lightning, all damage can ignite. And in 3.26, there was an additional change where enemies ignited by you have 40% of physical damage converted to fire. This is great because it makes you it's an inherent physical damage reduction built into your node. And so this is a buff to Elementalist in 3.26, whereby you are able to become more tanky. We also always take Shaper of Storm, where all damage can also shock. You know, hits always shock, and so not all and so all damage shock. And so what that means is not only do you ignite, but you'll be able to do you have a built-in shock in all your damage. And if you've watched any EK Ignite videos, which I'm not gonna go through here, but basically EK is a physical spell skill. It's not fire, cold, or like, it's physical. And so what we want to do is we want to convert this physical damage into cold damage, which we do that by our conversion. You know, we use it on your gloves and then on our tree, which I will go over in a minute. Don't worry about that. But the point here I want to make is that EK is a physical skill, and we will convert this physical skill to various different other. I'm just looking for this one, Cold to Fire. Okay, we will increase. We get we get cold damage as extra fire, and we convert cold damage to fire, and we can use this because we are converting the damage to cold. And so when we have this EK skill, we want to be able to ignite. We can't do that with a physical skill, but you can do that because of our Ascendancy Shaper of Flames, okay? And then because of the shock, you get more damage. And you have Mastermind of Discord. Mastermind of Discord is important because if an enemy has a higher fire resistance, their chance of ignite decreases, or they get less damage. And this is important for you to be able to kill those rares that have higher fire resistance. Liege of the Primordial also got a change in 3.26. It's better. Your golems, they give you they are stronger basically. And so I will go over the golems later, but this will all work together for you to have better damage and better defense. Okay, you need to use a Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame to get Heart of Destruction. Unfortunately, these Flesh and Flames are not cheap, but don't worry about the budget. If you don't have the budget, you know, PoE is always about progressing every day. And so if you don't have the budget, you know, get something cheaper. I was personally using Bastion of Elements for the longest time until I had the budget to transition into Heart of Destruction. Okay, so you know, if you don't have the budget, it's okay. Just make a you know, do what you can, farm content that you can, and get the budget and farm other content. You know, we've still got like 3 months left in the league, and so don't be so discouraged if you can't do exactly what I did. You must understand that the whole league, this is all I was doing. Okay, so if you're just starting, don't try to achieve this from day one, unless of course you've got multi mirrors. Then I guess you can. But if you're new, even if you have the multi mirror, you know, for example, this helmet, you don't know how to craft this helmet, no problem. Take your time and learn how to craft. You may waste some currency here and there, but this is the joy and fun of the game. And so don't worry about if you're not able to achieve this. Okay. So that's the Ascendancy. You go for Elementalist, and you get this node for Ignite, this node for Shock, this node for better golems, for stronger golems, and this node so you can penetrate the fire res, and you get this node for more damage to uniques, or you got more AoE if you don't have uniques. Okay? Now, let's talk about damage. This is the skill that we are using. And we will 6-link our EK with all damage over time multiplier supports. If you look in POB, Swift Affliction, Unbound Ailments, and Deadly Ailments. So these are all to do with damage over time, and it basically makes your dot damage higher at the expense of less hit damage. You see the second line, supported skills deal 80% less damage with hits. This is okay because we are not dealing the majority of damage with hits. We are dealing the majority of damage with damage over time. And so these 3 supports are to increase your dot damage. Very straightforward, very simple. And then we've got Cold to Fire. Now, for me to explain this gem, why we are able to, Joe, you know, why are we increasing cold damage? And why are we getting extra cold damage as extra fire? Why is this cold damage coming into play? That's because in POE1, it's easier to scale elemental damage than it is to scale physical damage if you want to use an ele-based build. And so when we want to play EK Ignite, before we do anything, we must understand that 100% of our physical damage, you see, EK does physical damage, 100% physical damage. We want to change all that physical damage to cold damage. How do we do that? First way is you get a cold mastery, 40% of physical damage converted to cold damage. So from 0, we go to 40. After that, you normally get 25% or 35% on your gloves, depending on what kind of item you can get. You know, I got the 25% on my craft on my gloves, and you can do that because in your bench you have physical damage converted to cold, so you can just craft that onto your gloves. Okay, and you get a Watcher's Eye. This is how majority of people do it, whereby on the first line, physical damage, 35% of physical damage converted to cold damage, while affected by hatred. So you have hatred, which is an aura where 40%, where X percentage of your fizz damage you get as extra cold damage. And so this is how you will convert 40% plus 25%, okay, is 65. And you will need at least a 35% on your Watcher's Eye. If you have a glove which converts more than 25, you can go for a Watcher's Eye, which converts less. But it's very important for you to convert 100% of your fizz damage to cold to maximize damage. Okay? Why? Because later we are going to scale elemental damage. We are not going to scale physical damage. And you're going to get, for example, hatred. Okay? We're going to convert our fizz damage to ele damage, but we're going to scale, like on my sector we got ele damage, and so we're going to increase our cold damage. This increased elemental damage is not going to increase our physical damage. Okay, and so the sixth link, this is why we use this. We got 3 dot damage support, and we get extra fire damage from the cold damage that we do. And we use Empower. If you're new to PoE, you need to know this. If your Empower is a level 3 Empower, you need to check your POB. I think it's better to use another gem instead, like added fire damage. But if it will only be worth using an Empower if it's a level 4. Okay, and so this is our main 6th link for our first damage. Okay. Now, the next is our golems. So we have flame golem, whereby it just gives you straight up damage. And it will give you more damage if you have quality on it. And you can see here that mine is 20 quality. But with enhance, I get the quality up to 44 because of my enhance. And so more quality means more damage. Okay. And then you've got your heralds. You've got 2 heralds. Okay. Let me just find my herald here. So if you see here, herald is not an aura. Okay. A herald is a herald. And in this, we use 2 herald, which is Herald of Purity and Herald Vash. Basically, Herald of Purity gives us more physical damage. This gives us more damage. Why? Because we are converting our physical damage, this physical damage, and we get more physical damage, a percentage more damage. Okay? And then Herald of Ash gives us more fire damage, which gives us more damage. Okay? And that is pretty much the auras when it comes to damage. Now I want to talk about the curse and the blessing. Let's talk about the curse first. So we have this skill called Arcanist Brand. Arcanist Brand is basically it's a brand. You put it on the floor, and this thing will appear. And depending on which supports you link it to, it will trigger those supported skills. Okay, so in my case, I used Flammability, Hydrosphere, and Flame Surge. So Flame Surge creates Burning Ground. Enemy will have Burning Ground. It adds a chunk of damage. And Flammability is a curse, so they get they have a negative, they have a more negative fire resistance on the enemy. Okay, so let's say you're going around when you're killing normal mobs, you go around and you're just killing things, and then oh, there's a rare or a unique, you just put it down, and then it'll automatically do its thing onto the enemy. Okay, straightforward. Now let's look at okay, this setup here. I want to talk about this now. This is a major change that happened in 3.25, whereby your blessing is not just a trigger for your aura. So malevolence makes you do more dot damage. But if you don't have the mana reservation to have an aura, you can use a blessing to make it into a trigger. So you're going around, you're killing things, and all of a sudden you see a very strong monster or a boss or whatever. Then you will turn on, you can turn on the aura. It doesn't take any mana reservation. And traditionally it will just expire. But you see my stone golem, it died. Okay? Because how blessing now works is that it needs to be linked to a golem. Okay? And the golem will take damage over time as you have this aura's effect on you. So as long as the golem is alive, you will have the this aura on you. So instead of reservation, it takes damage from your golem. So you will use a stone golem because stone golem, it's got life regen on it. But it really, you don't want to you don't want downtime on your lightning or your chaos. So you will use it on your stone golem, and because of your ascendancy here, summon golems are resummoned 4 seconds after being killed. Automatically, after 4 seconds, it comes back to life, and then you can use it again. Okay, and I used an MTX so that I can clearly see when my malevolence is on or off. So this you need this setup so that you can get extra damage if you're coming across a stronger monster. Okay. Now let's talk about the gear. Our main damage weapon is our scepter. I will put in the link a Reddit post on how you can craft this scepter. But basically, you are going to use the Recombinator. It will cost you anywhere from 30 divines if you are super duper lucky, all the way to, I want to say like 80 divines if you are very unlucky. If you want to buy this from the trade website, I think it will cost you 160 divines. And so I crafted it, and this is basically a Righteous Fire Scepter, except it's a all level, all physical. Mine's an all physical spell because we want more levels on our EK. But a Righteous Fire build will use all fire spell skills. But it's basically an RF Scepter, except we put a physical spell on it. Okay, and so this is the weapon that we will use to add damage, and we have our helmet, whereby it causes nearby enemies to have less fire resistance, and you deal ignite faster. So there is this mod, ignites you inflict deal damage X percentage faster. I have it on my gloves as well. This if you see dirty techniques, it also deals damage faster. And so basically it's a damage increase, but it's a different, instead of dealing X amount of damage in over 2 seconds, it deals X amount of damage over 1.5 or 1.4 seconds. So you're dealing damage fast. So you're dealing more damage. It's just that's a different way of modifying it. And so this helmet, I will also put in the link a way to craft it. Localhol created a video. I think that is the best video to follow because he does it very clearly. You can craft it. I also crafted it myself. It's very expensive to craft because you need to use Orb of Dominance and Orb of Awakeners. You refer to the video to learn how to craft it. I crafted it. If you buy it off the trade, you can. But I don't think you will get a helmet that's worth your divines. You should just go and learn how to make this helmet. It's really not hard. And if you don't have the budget to use this helmet, you can. I have been using. Let me see here. Uh, I've been using this helmet and this helmet, on and off. Uh, and it really it's like 2 or 3 million extra damage, but it's really I was min maxing by this time. You go and use the gull because you want to go and do the Alva Beyond strategy. It's fine. You will still kill things. You can still do 2 risk scarabs, no problem. Okay, I'll talk about this later. And so when we do the damage, we also have our 2 rings. These are the 2 classic rings that we use. You get more fire damage, ignites you deal damage faster. Your polarity devastation covers the enemy in ash, okay? And if you can see here, if the enemy is covered in ash, they get more fire damage. Take it, okay? On the gloves, you have ignites you inflict deal damage faster. This is a delve mod. Just buy a fractured 10% ignite glove from the trade, okay? And you can craft this yourself, and even the implicit, you can just do it yourself. It's all very easy to craft. In the boots also, you've got ignites you inflict deal damage 7% faster. So if you don't have in the beginning when you're building your build, right? Oh, let me just go through the amulet and the armor. Sorry. And so I have here a corrupted one, which you do not need a corrupted one. You do not need a corrupted one. Let me see whether I have a. Nope, I do not. Okay, never mind. So I have a corrupted one, but you don't need to have a corrupted one. The most important line in this amulet is actually projectiles that have changed gain 42% of non-chaos damage as extra chaos damage. This is huge damage. I get 10 million extra damage just from this amulet. And when you're doing your POB, bring my POB here. There is a section here. Number of active brands. Oh, I cannot find it now. Where is it? Okay. I don't know why I'm not able to find it, but there's this mod here. Number of times skill has changed. Let me see if I can find it for effective DPS. Oh, here we go. Number of times skill has changed. So you will get this extra mod, this extra damage, if the projectile has changed. So first of all, Gloomfang makes your EK chain. It bounces, basically. And when it bounces, it gets extra chaos damage of all your non-chaos, whether it's cold, fire, physical, all your non-chaos as extra chaos damage. And you see the damage here, .pdps. If I minus it, okay. Oh, sorry, it's not this one. If I minus it, okay, there we go. See, it's an extra 10 million damage. So on Ninja, don't be fooled. Just because people are using Gloomfang, that doesn't mean it's not reflected on Ninja. But when it chains, you get an extra 10 million damage for me. Okay, and Gloomfang will always be more damage. This is was highlighted by MB Extreme last time, and Cyro Void also reminded me to use this. And you will always use Gloomfang. Okay, and now you might be wondering, hey Zealous, what if there's only one mob? It won't chain. That's a good point, and that's why we use Hydrosphere on our brand, because if you put your brand down, a Hydrosphere will appear, and when you put it down and then you use your EK, it will bounce. Your projectile will hit the Hydrosphere and it will bounce onto the enemy. Okay, and so you will then get that extra damage. So use Gloomfang as your amulet. Headhunter, self-explanatory. I'm not going to talk about this. You basically kill rares, you get their mods, you get stronger. This is how Headhunter works. Can I use a Mage Blood? In my opinion, I think a Headhunter is much better than a Mage Blood because you have these two flasks, which give you extra damage and the survivability. Remember, we don't want to just have good we don't want to be able to just do damage. We want to have good defense, and so it actually gives you life leech, and you're able to sustain in the maps. Okay, let's talk about the armor. This is a great armor because it has a defensive and an offensive mod. The first, other than the chaos res, which is you get more chaos res, which is also great. I mean, it's just great. But the defensive mod is okay. First of all, it creates void spawns. Okay, you can see these squid-like creatures. Okay, that make a lot of noise. They are void spawns. You can see you can have 4, and 6% of damage from hits is taken from void spawn's life before you per void spawn. So if something hits you, 6% of the damage, of the total damage, is taken from them before you. That is huge defensive layer. Okay, and I checked on Wiki. If you have 4 void spawn, and let's pretend that 6% you get 100 damage. Okay, let's pretend that 100 damage, pew, it hits you. Okay, so 6% is 6 damage. That 6 damage is distributed amongst the 4 void spawn, or however many void spawn you've got. Okay, so this is a massive defensive layer, and they spawn. If they die, they respawn every 4 seconds, just like your golem. Okay, and the damage is that you gain 6% of non-chaos damage as extra per summon void spawn. And so, the armor alone, if you look at the total .dps, is 11 million. That's a huge amount of damage that you get from the body armor. And so, I would say that the biggest change is that this body armor enables EK to be able to do a decent amount of damage for you to be able to farm in endgame mapping, in endgame farming. Okay, and so I want to really stress this. It is very cheap to get a level 1 socketed gem implicit. The super duper endgame is a double implicit. Level 1 plus level of socketed gems plus 2 level of socketed projectile gems. Okay, that is the super endgame. I still haven't found one trade. I tried double corrupting and it still didn't work. But, there's something to do. So that will be an upgrade path. So that is the gear. Flasks. So in order to achieve the explode, traditionally you have it on your bow. Some people take it on the armor. You use a rare armor, but Orias N, in my opinion, is good enough. Okay, and so you just use this to get the explosion when you kill things. A series promise basically gives you extra chaos damage, and it gives you life leech for chaos damage dealt, which is great. And if you ignite an enemy, enemies take 7% increased damage, and this is also great because you do more damage. Now, for the flask, you want to move faster, and I have here an extra mod, reduced effect of curse. I will talk about this later in my defense portion. Progenesis is also a defensive flask. I will talk about it later. Okay, so when we look at the atlas, in terms of damage nodes, this is not new, okay? Every EK Ignite build will use these cluster jewels to get more damage. And you will, if you do all your Atlas the way I did it, and you don't have anywhere near much damage as I do, it's because you don't have the cluster jewels. The large cluster jewel, you want to get Disorienting Display, Prismatic Heart, and Sadist. Okay, these are the triple nodes, cluster nodes, that will give you more damage. Okay. Now, having said that, if you have the points, you will point to there. Again, this is up to your preference, but if not, you just put Sadist and Prismatic Heart. And the medium cluster, you have to take one medium cluster with Brush with Death and Fan the Flames. Fan the Flames is what makes your Ignite spread. Okay, so if you've got a bunch of monsters here, you've inflicted Ignite on this one dude, Jun, for example, and then Jun will give it to Johan, Johan will give it to, Sister Cassia here. So Fan the Flames is very important for you to get that smooth proliferation of Ignite. Brush with Death not only gives you damage, but it gives you life and ES, also super important for sustain. The moment you go into maps, you're about to die, but you damage enemies and your HP and your ES is back to full. So this is the mandatory large cluster jewel, that a medium cluster jewel, sorry, that you need to take. Okay. So for the other medium cluster jewels, you have options. Okay, I have POB'd it, but you can min-max later if you want. But there are three important or useful nodes that you can take. One is Endbringer, Purposeful Harbinger, and Lasting Impression. So you can use whatever combination you want, depending on what's available on trade. Okay, you can craft these yourself if you want, but I couldn't be bothered doing that, so I just took whatever was available on trade that met my needs. I needed stats, and you can see here I got int and all attributes. Here also got int and all attributes. And you will realize very quickly that you will be starved for attributes. So when I crafted this glove, for example, I was trying to get 35% fizz damage converted to cold, but instead I got this veiled mod, strength and dex, and so which was good enough for me. It just meant that I didn't have to put all attributes as a craft. I put fizz damage converted to cold as a craft, and then I was able to get this. So, but you will be stat hungry if you are building your build. You don't have all the gear that I have, and you are starving for stat. There is absolutely no shame in taking these two nodes, okay, or this node here, which gives int, or this node here, which gives int. Okay, there's absolutely no shame in taking those nodes and running your build until you can min-max your build. There's also one here and one here. So if you start for stat, just take these nodes and run, okay, and go do your maps and then upgrade, and eventually you can spec out of those. Okay. So if you can see the tree, the damage nodes are mainly all up here. Okay, these are all the damage nodes. And when you look at the jewels, let me see here. Yeah, these so the Forbidden Flame and the Forbidden Flesh is what gives us the convergence, which gives us more damage. And you've got this node here, which ignites you inflict deal damage faster. And so this is pretty much all the damage nodes that you can take. There's also one here. Okay. Another damage jewel is this one. The Red Nightmare. Gain 10% of fire damage as extra chaos damage. And by using this, you'll be able to get extra chaos damage. Okay, guys, let's talk about defense. When we talk about defense, there are two main defense we need to think about. Number one is physical damage. Number two is elemental damage. These are the two main defensive mechanisms we need to cover. Let's talk about physical damage first. So I want to talk about our superstar of defense in this particular variation of EK Ignite, which is block. Block, there are two types. There's block attack damage and block spell damage. Attack damage blocks hit damage, and spell damage blocks elemental damage. And so when we use Svalin, so many videos have already been made about what lucky block chance is, but basically, normally our block is kept at 75%. But by using Svalin, we are able to take our block to beyond 75. So I pushed it up to 88% for physical damage and for hit damage, and 90% for spell block damage. And so the reason why we're able to go past that 75% is because of our Svalin. Now, Svalin also allows us to shield charge. Okay, and for me, this is an amazing quality of life. Because one of the reasons why a lot of people use Mage Blood is because you get permanent movement speed throughout the whole game. But save that, you're able to get this. So these are the two main benefits of using Svalin. Okay, and so you have, so the first layer of defense you really have is that you've got 90% spell block and 88% attack damage block. In your tooltip, when you look at block, it will not be 88 or 90. Because this tooltip is talking about your attack damage block and spell damage without considering lucky. Okay, so if you want to consider the lucky, you need to refer to block chance and spell block chance. And as you are listening to my explanation, if you're like, what is lucky, not lucky, don't worry. Just Google a bit about what lucky block chance and non-lucky block chance is, because if I covered all that in this video is going to be way too long. Okay, so all you need to know is that refer to your POB when you are building this, so that you know what your true block chance and spell block chance is. Okay, because you're using Svalin. Now, in order to reach the higher levels of block, there are two other things we do. Number one is our Red Nightmare. So Red Nightmare says that passives granting fire res or any other res in radius also grants chance to block attack damage at 50% of its value. All res, sorry. And so what we do is we put this here, and any nodes over here, okay, that has fire res or all res, it will be converted into block attack damage at 50% of value. So for example, like in here, for example, we've got all res, right? So this all res will convert half of it to attack block, chance to block attack damage. Okay, so you can see that line there, right? On the very top, chance to block attack damage. That's because we've got the Red Nightmare there. And so we are able to push our block by speccing into this node. This node is a strength node, but we tattoo it with a fire res, and that fire res in turn gives half of it in attack damage block. Okay, and so that is how you will get to your block cap. You still won't be block capped, and so you need to spec into this block node here. And finally, you take this replica reckless defense, which will block cap you. Okay, so I have an amulet which gives me block attack damage. Don't worry about this amulet. Just get one without a corrupt. You'll be fine. So if you get a non-corrupt one, you need to get a 6/6 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and they're not expensive at all. You can just get a 6/6 replica reckless defense, and you will block at 88 and 90%. So that is your block. Let me just see if I've covered everything for block. I believe I have. So now let's, oh, and you know, for those of you who are new, you're wondering, hey, I have this debuff now, chance to be frozen, shocked, and ignite is plus 10%. Don't worry, because we are also elemental ailment immune. Let me start this conversation with this jewel, Storm Shroud. This is a very popular way to be immune to elemental ailments. You can read here that elemental ailments are ignite, scorch, chill, frozen, etc., etc. And so, if you have avoid being shocked as a mod on anywhere on your gear, then it will also apply to all other elemental ailments if you have this jewel socketed in. A very common way of achieving this is by having a chance to avoid being shocked on your boots, and having chance to avoid being shocked as an implicit, Eldritch implicit. Okay, this is very easily achieved. Let me see if I have the. I do. So if you use this essence, you can see on the other armor, it says 56 to 60% chance of avoid being shot. So you use this essence on any boot, and you roll until you get a modifiers that you want. You would want move speed and some resistance. And then once you're done, you the chance to avoid being shocked is a Searing Exarch mod. And so you use, I think this is a greater. Let me see. It's a grand. Okay. So you use one of these, and you keep using these until you get 100%. Okay, 41 plus 59. I think I got 56% on my boots, and I divined, one lucky divine, and I got to 59. Sorry. And so that's how I got 100%. So after you make your boots, and you put this thing in, you are now elemental ailment immune. So it doesn't matter if your chance of being frozen, shocked, and ignite is higher, because you're going to be immune. Okay, which is the second layer of defense that I want to talk about. I've also talked about the damage from hits taken from voice stuns before you. That is also another layer of defense. And also, I want to talk about golems. Our chaos golem actually gives us chaos res, and our stone golem here, gives us life regen. Our life regen is pretty. It's not bad. Okay, it's, if you look here, our life regen, if I can find it, it's 363. It's not dark. It's not too bad, but stone golem is able to give us the life regen, and so golems are going to be your other defensive layer. Another defensive layer is damage taken as. So for physical damage, when you hit an enemy and they get ignited, 40% of their physical damage is converted to fire. And that means that you will get less physical damage as well. There is also, because we haven't talked about mercenaries yet, but with your mercenaries calm binding, nearby enemies convert 25% of their fizz damage to fire. And so you are able to mitigate fizz damage in all these different ways. Okay. Now I want to talk about crit damage. While you're rolling your maps, certain modifiers make your enemies deal more crit damage. So you're going to become crit immune by tattooing all your int nodes with tattoo of the Rongokurai turtle. And if you tattoo enough of these, you will get 100% crit, extra crit damage reduction, which means you'll be crit immune. Okay, and you will use Brine King Pantheon to kind of be stun immune. Okay, you're not stun immune. You actually cannot be stunned if you've been stunned in the past 2 seconds. But this for me, I've been using this and it's good enough to solve the stun issue. That's pretty oh, and the last thing, sorry, is the evasion. And so okay, so at this point, the last thing that I want to talk about is you need to choose either evasion or armor to top off your defense. Now, if you can, it's up to your preference what you want to do. I chose evasion because evasion. First of all, I've got gear which all has evasion on it except for my shield. But also, evasion has synergistic effect with block. When an enemy hits you, the game first calculates your evasion chance, whether you have a chance to evade or not. Now my evasion chance here is not shown properly because I have a mercenary which has grace aura, okay? But my evasion chance based on my POB is 70%. Actually, it should be 75, but I'll see later. But it's 75%. It's not 95%, but you know it's something. And if you evade, there's something called evasion entropy, whereby, to put it in very simple terms, eventually you'll get hit. Okay, evasion, it's to avoid the chance that you can get hit 10 times in a row, or evade 10 times in a row, because you have this thing called evasion entropy. So I don't know, your character evades enough times until he gets tired and then gets hit and then it wakes up. So let's pretend that an enemy hits you, you evade. And then another enemy hits you and you got hit. Then the game will ask, did you block? You see where it's going? And if you blocked, then your evasion entropy goes back to 0. Why? Because when you let's say you could not evade. If you could not evade, your entropy goes back to 0. And the next time after, so let's say they hit you, you evade. The mob hits you, you did not evade, but you blocked. The next hit, you have a chance to evade again. Okay, and so that's why I chose evasion over armor, because getting not hit is better than getting hit. I know that sounds obvious, but that's the difference between evasion and reduction, physical damage reduction, which is armor. And that's why I chose a mercenary which has grace, because grace gives you more evasion. I also used, that's why in my flask, I initially used a flask which had evasion on it. Yes, to further increase my evasion. Oh, that's why which I had 75, that's about 70. But I'll talk about why I changed the curse reduction later. So that's why you will have a mercenary with a grace aura. Since I'm here, I'll also talk about haste. You know, the beast mercenary for me would be grace haste, so that you get more movement speed and you get more cast speed and you get that snappy EK ignite feel when you are playing. And so that's very important. You know, feeling good playing is very important. That's pretty much my physical mitigation portion of defense. Let's now talk about elemental damage mitigation. So first of all, we've got spell block chance. So it's not really entirely elemental per se, but you either choose spell suppression or spell block. But since you're going with Svalin, you get chance to block is lucky, so you are able to get spell block kept. Now you also use, if I can find it, Tempest Shield. So Tempest Shield also gives 26% chance to block spell damage while holding a shield. Massive buff. And Yeah, and so when you're able to combine these two, I think there's also a node that you take here. Yes, there's more nodes here for spell damage. And also there's reckless defense also gives you spell damage block. And so if you just get this jewel, spec in here, put Tempest Shield on, and then you get a max. You see this Fallen has a chance to block spell damage. You will spell block cap. Okay, so that's the first layer of defense for elemental damage mitigation, quote unquote. Of course, you need to res cap. Even though I'm not res capped here right now, actually, if I turn on all my flasks, then I will be res capped. If you're the kind of person where you're like, oh, I want to be res capped without using flask, you can change out the modifiers in your gear to hit that. Okay. You're also elemental ailment immune. I've covered this using Storm Shroud. Okay. And the reason why I use this flask is because we spec into these nodes here. I think that these are real value because you get chaos res, and you get reduced effect of curses on you, and you can take corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. You can get a gem like a Storm Shroud with you cannot the corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you as an implicit. It's like 90 divines, or on this jewel like 110 divine or something like that. I don't think it's I personally think it's not worth it for like hundreds of divines when I can just do it here. And on the way here, I get reduced curse effect. Now, if you spec into these three nodes, okay, so that's 12, 18, that's 30% curse effect reduction, I think. Yep. So then you are able to get reduced effect of curses on you during effect, and you get you are curse immune basically. Okay, let me just quickly do the math here. I'm so sorry. 6, 6, 18. So 6 plus 6 plus 18, 30. Oh, I should get a higher plus 57. Yep. Oh, and then I've got another one here. Yep. Here. No, here. Yes. Okay. So yes. So I have a implicit where reduce effect of curses on you, as an implicit, in my jewel. I managed to get this amulet, which I double corrupted. So if you can get an implicit on a jewel with reduced curse effect, which is not cheap as well, but not as expensive as immune to corrupted blood, then you can get a lower reckless defense. But if not, you can either live with a lower curse effect. You're not curse immune, but the curses doesn't affect you as much. Why is this so important? It's because when you're rolling maps, by being crit immune, curse immune, you actually get to run a lot more maps. Okay, and that's huge. And by having that that flexibility, you are able to run juicier maps basically. Finally, we use Soul of Aberrath. Okay, for the minor Pantheon, I use this particular Pantheon because even though you Burning Ground is very annoying, but it's up to you. You can take this one if you feel like you don't want to take as much reflect damage, because technically you can run reflect maps. You can also there's another. Let me see here. This one, if you feel like you have got poison damage killing you, it's really. Or you can take this one. I actually took this. I alternate this one and this one depending on the maps I run. But I mean, I don't touch it. After I fixed it onto this, onto Aberrath and Brine King, I haven't touched it since, and it's been working perfectly for me. So that's basically the elemental damage mitigation. Now, I do want to talk about the Mercenary one more time. As I said, you've got options. The meta at the moment is to use Kingmaker for fortification and determination for armor. It's a good option. Honestly, we have been using this for a while before I got this mercenary. Uh, I'll just show you the gear on the mercenary quickly. Basically, it's got my mercenary is able to chill, and the chill gets me to do more damage. Nearby enemies are blinded, so I'm able to evade. My evasion chance goes up. I would think that this boots are mandatory for your ignite build because nearby enemies are scorched. Scorched enemies have negative 10% elemental resistances, and curse enemies with Ela weakness on hit. This is a very cheap glove if you just get that mod on it. And this particular guy, let me just show you. Let me just this guy when he shoots really fast because he's got returning proj, and so watch him shoot things. Oh, where are the enemies? Okay, do you see the green projectiles that goes out? Yeah, he just it's really fast and snappy, and he will pretty much hit everything that's in the map, and so all those enemies will be cursed with Ela weakness when they are hit by your mercenary. There is also another combination which I cannot show you because I don't have the. Do I? Oh yes, I do. I did get it. Okay, but this is not the infamous version, which is why it's not the best. But there is another version which I was thinking about, which is Malevolence Grace, because this mercenary technically will have a higher malevolence level than mine. And if you have your mercenary with malevolence, it will always be on. You don't need to put it on a blessing. It will always be on, and you will always have more damage. The problem is the mercenary can die sometimes, and I haven't really. And it doesn't have haste. I guess you can put haste on yourself, but I thought it would be better to be able to move around faster all the time than to have damage all the time. Just because you got more damage, that doesn't mean it's better. Sometimes. So I have not tried this, but you can. I will eventually get here. I don't think I had the currency to do it. Only recently I've just farmed up some currency to be able to do my next big upgrade. But I don't know. Maybe you can come up with something better so that you have constant malevolence on yourself. Honestly, I don't like to put damage auras on my mercenary because sometimes they die, and if they die, then you don't have access to your damage, and it's a bit annoying. And so, anyways, that's another option that you can. So, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. That was the best I could do in terms of creating a guide for all of you who wanted to do EK Ignite. If you're new to PoE, you are probably overwhelmed and probably don't know where to start. I suggest that you go get yourself this body armor, complete this 6 link, and then go get all the easy items and build it out from there. Even though it's overwhelming, and even though it will take you, if it's your first time building EK Ignite, it will take you more than a day, I think. But just take your time, enjoy it. There's no rush, and have joy in the fact that you've got more content to play in the league. Okay. I guess at this point, I do want to cover strategies that I run with this build and map mods that you should not run. Certain map mods will break your build. Let me see here. So if you see here, monsters have chance to avoid elemental ailments. This is an ignite build. If you cannot ignite, you cannot deal damage. So if this avoid elemental ailment, if you have this mod, it will break your build. Can you complete the map? You probably can, but you will be in a world of pain. And so, you know, in your map rejects, you should put it so that you avoid this map modifier. The third line, monsters have X chance to avoid elemental ailments. Reflect, you can run elemental reflect, but it's a bit more dangerous. So it's up to you. Okay, but it's not a brick, but it's more dangerous. Other mods like recovery. Okay, let me see if I've got one. Not this one. Not this one. Okay, this has two. First one is less recovery rate of life and ES. You're using ES to cast your EK. You got less EK recovery. Again, you can clear the map, but it's going to be pain for you. Players have 40% reduced chance to block. This is super detrimental. You can technically run the map, but it's for me it's a brick because your block is your biggest defensive layer, and once you're not able to block cap, you will be super squishy. Okay. Eater altar, you can click on every eater altar except for endurance charges makes your life and ES recovery lower. Now, can you click on it? You can. And because you've got enough leech, you can technically get through the map once you click on a endurance altar. But Zealous, we don't have endurance charges actually. But actually, when you run maps, there are rare mobs that give you charges, and so you just have to watch out for that. You can click on it, but just know that it's going to be dangerous. Otherwise, you can click on every single eater altar, and that's a great thing about this version of the build. So the strategies that I run with this build, I do breach. I actually rotate these three strategies. So what I will do is I will do breach 8 mod map farming. I'll farm my maps using this atlas, doing breach, and I'll get T16 8 mod maps, T16.5 8 mod maps. If you don't want 8 mod, you want them clean, you just remove the scarab. Let me show you the scarab. The scarab, just remove the scarab and you'll get maps without 8 mods on them. And then if I want something like explosion, you know, loot explosion, I will do Alva Beyond. Okay, I'll do Alva Beyond. You can see it in the map showcase. And you just swap your helmet out. Where's my you'll swap your helmet out for this. Okay, you can see the double implicit, super cheap to get. You can either like run the map with this, and then when you're about to click on the evolution shrine, you wear this helmet and then swap it back. You can do that. I don't do that. I can just run with the gull, and it's still enough damage for you to complete Alva Beyond. If I want to do something super chill, I do crop rotation. I don't use the Awakening Scarab. I think it's I don't like to use expensive scarabs, so I just do it with a T16 8 mod. Not even a T16.5. I just do T16 8 mods. You know, I'm watching like a movie while I'm playing. So that's what I do right now. That's what I'm doing in rotation. Before this, you know, I did Harbinger, I did Blight, Harbinger, Blight, Ritual, I did Ultimatum, I did Betrayal, I did Delirium. I did all these mechanics before I settled onto these three strategies. And you can too. You can do. Okay? And so, thank you very much for watching my build guide for EK Ignite. I'm so proud of myself that I was able to create an EK Ignite video. I never thought that I would. And I know that there are so many rooms for improvement. I'm sure that even in this video, there are certain things that I said which may not be so correct. But for those of you who are new, just follow what I've tried to build. If, for example, you're trying to get the scepter and you don't know how to craft the scepter, don't worry. This is where this is the joy of POE1. This is how you learn, um, I will put in a link how to create the scepter and the helmet. And if you have any questions, put in the comments. I will. If there are enough people who comment and desire it, I will make the crafting videos. I'm more than happy to. And I really hope that someone takes this and really takes it to the next level so that we can get more damage. And I really hope that the build gets buffed so that it's even uber viable. And yeah, that's it. If you want to see the gameplay footage, go to that section. And thank you for watching.
The more you aid him, the more harm you bring upon him. I need more mana. Accept your decision. Self-preservation or cowardice. Choose so it's unravel. What do you hope to find here? Devastation is all that awaits.